Today's episode of the Fan Feed Network podcast is brought to you by Bonheur Jewelry. Week 7 is in the books. Week 8 is on the horizon, and there is a lot of edge to be gained in fantasy football. We're here to talk Would You Rather tonight. Would you rather? We're comparing players and seeing who would we rather have for the rest of the season. We're at the midway point. And so we're looking towards the back half of the season to see who we want on our teams. We'll also cover some waivers. We're going to cover some buys and sells, you know, the typical things we do every Tuesday night. And we'll be answering live Q&A questions all throughout. So if you guys have any questions, rosters, starts, sits, trades, waivers, anything like that, hit us with them. But yeah, so if this is your first time here, make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave a comment, hang out with us tonight. Go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're live on all 3 of those. And then also you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcasts, and listen to us on your way into work, your way home from work. But without much further ado, Logan and Alex, welcome to the show. Logan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Fantasy this week was a bit rough. I went 2-2 in my 4 leagues, and one of my leagues was really rough. I had a lot of players score single-digit points, and I started Caleb Williams, who absolutely failed me against the Saints in a favorable matchup.
Oh, man, it's so painful.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a rough week on the fantasy streets. I will say I won a ton of my leagues, which is awesome, but it always sucks to lose in the one league you care the most about. Mm-hmm. And my sleeper does a weekly recap, and so it'll tell you the amount of points max you could have had on the week. And my max was 230 points. It was 50 points higher than the next highest scoring person, but I sat all the good players. I sat AJ Brown. Finally sat AJ Brown.
And predicted.
Like an idiot, I put Harold Fannin in because he had a great matchup against Miami. He's coming off a great game. David Njoku was out. The stars were aligning, and this is why you start your studs. But Alex, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I did okay in fantasy this week. Unfortunately, in the Fan Feed Writers League, I started George Kittle, and that gave me absolutely nothing. But in another league, I put up 190 points, so it was a good week for me overall.
It was a good week. We'll give a quick recap on how the Fan Feed Writer League is going. Currently, Alex, our Alex Gast, not Alex Percy, Alex Gast, our Vikings writer, is number 1. He is currently 6-1, followed by Steph, who's the Lions writer. She is 5-2, and then followed by my wife at 3rd. Alex, here, you're 4th, so you're doing pretty well. I mean, you've had some pretty brutal injuries. Dom is 5th.
Oh, definitely.
So you guys are all in the playoff race right now, and then I'm currently sitting at 7th because I just don't understand. Fantasy football just hates me. Let me tell you all a story. Y'all want to hear a story?
Sure.
So
sure. Let's go for it.
Heading into Sunday night, I'm playing Soleil this week, and Soleil's had a rougher year. She's had 2 wins coming into this one, but she was up by I don't know, 50, 60 points. And she had Ken Walker to play on Monday night. And did she have anybody else? No, it was just Ken Walker. Oh, and Jared Goff. So she was up by 40. And I had Jahmyr Gibbs and my kicker. And, man, Jahmyr Gibbs balled out, 43 points. My kicker played well, 9 points. And I still lost by 2. Oh!
That's just absolutely brutal.
That's brutal. It's a 43-point game for what?
Yeah.
And another close one. My wife was playing Kendrick. Kendrick was up by quite a lot going into the Monday night games. I think he had Cooper Kupp and Nick Chubb, and who was the other guy? I think that was it. No,
did he lose kicker. Because Cooper Kupp threw a pick?
No, he didn't. But he definitely did get negative points for that. My wife had JSN. She also had Sam Laporta and the Seahawks defense. So she was looking good going in, and she was down, but she lost by 1 point. Just brutal. brutal for the Barton household over here.
So if Cooper Kupp threw one more interception, then she would have won.
If Cooper Kupp threw one more interception, she would have won. Or if he fumbled, that would have been awesome. Or, yeah, I guess there's other ways. Nick Chubb fumble. He had -5 yards. I mean, Kendrick's team was literally trying to, like, throw the game. So, shout out, Kendrick. Hope you're listening, my man. Congrats on the well-earned win. But, yeah, fantasy football, man. We had some good ones this week. Y'all want to talk about waiver guys first?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, number one on my list, a guy we all talked about last week. We were right, baby. We were spot on. If you listen to this show, you're making money after this week because Oronde Gadsden was a guy we talked about. Alex, how did you feel about the Oronde Gadsden breakout?
Well, I'm wearing my Syracuse sweatshirt in honor of Oronde Gadsden because, oh my gosh, it was incredible. I posted on Twitter, I can't believe that I saw this guy riding a scooter around my academic hall last year, and now he's putting up 164 yards in the NFL. He is amazing. He plays like a receiver. He's like a Darren Waller type tight end, and 9 targets, 7 receptions, 164 yards. What an incredible game from him. And it was with Quinshon Johnston back too. That was my concern, is he was doing good because Johnston was gone. They fill a somewhat similar role, but no, he's getting downfield targets even with Johnston there. Yeah, he's great going forward. I just wrote an article about waiver wire pickups. He's my top guy for tight ends. I love him going forward this year.
Love it. Logan, what do you think about Oronde?
Oh, I love it. You know, last year they were depending on Will Disley all year, and he produced. And now you actually have a tight end who actually has talent and can actually run routes, clean routes, like a Darren Waller, like Alex said. I think it's great. And I think Quinshon Johnston may actually be the player who kind of takes a back seat in this offense. I think Gadsden may elevate to like the second option behind Lamar McConkey if Keenan Allen, kind of slows down a bit. So I think he could be the second option in this passing game.
Wow, Will Disley catching strays tonight, I guess. He did well for me in my 32-man fantasy league. I'll have you know.
32.
Will Disley in a 32-man league is like, top tier, baby. Top tier.
Tight end premium, he was getting 22 points some weeks. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't care about his PFF rating being the worst in the league. He was great.
I once I tried to do a tight end premium league with some friends, and I didn't understand like the settings, so I was setting up the league. And I just put 2.5 for the tight end premium. Well, turned out they got 3.5 points because I didn't adjust for the PPR thing. So the guy who won the league had like Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson, and like Travis Kelce. And this was probably like 5-6 years ago. And they were all scoring like 30, 40 points a game. It was incredible. Such a cheat code. Yeah, but Oronde, dude, we talked about him last week. Comes out of Syracuse. He's a converted receiver. So he was a receiver, converted to tight end. And I mean, it's hard because a lot of those guys don't usually do that well in the NFL because tight end is such a difficult position to play. But he just came right in. And the last 2 weeks he's been balling. Last week he had 8 targets, 7 catches, 68 yards. So it wasn't that big, huge breakout game that we wanted, but we saw in a game where they were behind, and who did Justin Herbert throw to? He likes these bigger receivers is what I'm realizing. So Quinshon Johnston wasn't playing so hot, and Oronde filled the void. Dude, Oronde to the freaking moon. We're going to talk a little bit more about him later, but let's go to our next guy. Kendre Miller has been diagnosed with an ACL injury. He is now done for the year. Type F in the chat to pay your respects to Kendre. But Logan, how do you feel about Devin Neal this week?
See, this one I'm not too sure about. I know he had like 1 carry for 1 yard. He didn't really see a lot of work in the game against Chicago. And I was never like too high on Kendre Miller with Kamara there. Kamara's the workhorse. They're going to give him the carries. I just don't know how I feel about Devin Neal unless Kamara gets moved. But I don't know if Kamara ends up getting traded by the trade deadline. So Devin Neal's probably a player that I'm staying away from on the waiver wire. But if you are desperate at running back and kind of need a shot and, just a handcuff as well, if Kamara ever gets hurt, I do think he's worth of an ad in that aspect.
Yeah. What about you, Logan?
I'm Alex, but I will say that.
Oh
Devin
my
Neal,
gosh. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. But I don't like Devin Neal because I liked Kendre Miller because both he was getting carries even with Alvin Kamara there, and there was the upside that okay they might trade Kamara because Kendre's pretty good, and then Kendre becomes an RB2 for the rest of the season. With Devin Neal, now that Kendre's out, they're not going to trade Alvin Kamara. He doesn't have that upside, so I don't really see any. I don't see a high ceiling for him going forward.
No, I don't. And a new character has appeared on the stream. What up, Dom?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Got your ears clipped back. And he froze. Pain!
I know I
All right,
froze.
hold on. Oh, there he
Oh,
is.
he's got a
There.
buzz.
Okay.
He's got a short haircut.
Sorry, guys.
I like it.
He got
Thank
that
you,
hair
thank you.
freshened up.
Yeah,
I love
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna go get my hair did. So I'm going to Cancun Friday. I'll be there for
Very nice.
5 days or so. So my wife asked me to get a haircut, and not just any haircut. She wants me to get layers. I don't know what to tell the guy. I'm just going to tell him give me layers, and I don't really know what that means. But I'm a married man, and this is just what I do.
You might need to go to a salon for that, but we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, it is a salon, I think.
Oh, okay.
I hope. We'll see. If he messes it up, there's plenty to work with, and we can always go. I'll just tell him, give me what Dom's got.
Yeah, you can always have what I have.
Yeah,
We'll
so the
match.
low deeper fade.
That's right. So Dom, we're currently talking waiver guys. Devin Neal is the guy we're talking about. Since Kendre Miller tore his ACL, he's no longer the RB2. Devin Neal now assumes that spot as RB2 in New Orleans. Do you think he's worthy of a waiver pickup this week?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. I mean, before obviously Miller went down, he was getting like from weeks 5 to 6, like 4, 5, 6-ish. He was getting at equal to, if not more, carries than Kamara. And Kamara's kind of on that like wishy-washy, like, will he be traded? We don't know what's going to happen to him. He's older guy, so he's not a bad start, especially if Kamara does get traded or go down. I love that stash for deeper leagues especially too.
Yeah. So I'll say this: I think it's pretty certain that Alvin Kamara will not get traded. He has basically told the team, "Screw you guys. I will not be." Basically, if you trade me, I'll just go retire. And so I'm not looking at a Kamara trade, but Devin Neal was an interesting prospect out of Kansas, had a pretty productive college career. He's a little smaller, but the interesting part to him is he was really high in like missed tackles forced and different things like that. So I think he's worthy of a pickup, but he's a pickup that if you're a winning team right now, you have a really good record, and you have guys on your bench who are scoring you consistent 10 points, but like you're looking for somebody who's going to like break fantasy. He's a guy you want to stash on your bench. But yeah, he's definitely, it's going to take him time. He hasn't produced yet. I don't expect him to produce very soon. But moving on to somebody who did produce this week that I was pretty proud about is Kyle Monongai. So Dom, you're our Bears writer. Let's hear it. Should we go get Kyle Monongai?
Yeah, that was gonna be my my big pickup for this week. I'm glad you mentioned him because he had 81 yards this past week. He was getting like I think at least 2 or 3 goal line carries, red zone carries. I think he was within the 10. He only had 13 carries as well, so he's very efficient on the ground. He got two receptions. I think he had 2 or 3 targets, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
very efficient. Yeah, 3 targets. So very efficient on the ground. I still think Swift is the main guy, but he's the clear number 2 now. There's no I know there's a little bit of a debate between him and Roshan, but definitely just a very safe guy to pick. A very similar situation to Devin Neal. So very, very nice to stash in those deeper leagues and winning teams.
Totally. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I feel like Kyle Monongai. Personally, I come from a odd perspective because I'm part of the group that believes that DeAndre Swift is one of the worst starting running backs in the NFL. All the times that he gets good yards per carry metric is because he's getting schemed open and carried by his offensive line. I don't think he's that talented, and I honestly think that Kyle Monongai is younger, he's shiftier, and he's on the rise. So he's kind of the guy you want on your team if if you're talking dynasty, I would love to have Kyle Monongai. I might even go trade for him because he's actually getting that work so early in his career, earlier than I think most people expected. And yes, he had his best performance this week, so I would pick him up. Even in redraft leagues, I think that he's a chance of taking the role over from Swift as the season goes on and becoming like maybe a Sonic and Knuckles type of running back duo by the end of the season.
Yeah. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I was actually fortunate. So I saw Swift had, I think it was like a groin or hip injury during practice last week. So I picked up Monongai on, I think, last Thursday before this week happened. And I do think he's going to end up playing the David Montgomery role that Ben Johnson had in Detroit. And so I do think you're going to see him get a lot of goal line carries. And he's an explosive back. And like Alex said, I'm on the same wavelength of DeAndre Swift. He was at Philadelphia and was really good. But if you watch the tape of a lot of those runs, he would actually miss reads a lot of the time. And that offensive line was creating a lot of open gaps for him. I don't think he's like a fantastic running back. He'll take advantage of those opportunities at times. But I do think Monongai could take over if, Swift goes down. Or I think eventually this is going to be pretty much a timeshare. I mean, Monongai played 46% of the snaps this past week. So I do think this could be, a 50-50 split at some point this season.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta push back on all the DeAndre Swift hate. I understand that the analytics don't love him, but analytics don't tell the full picture. And DeAndre Swift has been balling the last 2 weeks. Every time somebody tries to say he's terrible, he comes back and has a 20-point game. Now, he's not the best running back in the league, and I definitely agree. I think Monongai is going to have a role in this offense, especially, the more they trust him, the more he gains trust with the team. I think the other part is that this was a game that, the Bears kind of had in hand early on, and they just pressed the run. Caleb Williams was really struggling, so they ran the ball a lot more. And Monongai's that grinder. So, I think that's the reason we saw him. But good for him, because analytically, if we're talking about the analytics, Kyle Monongai was like the worst running back coming out of this class. Like, not good at anything, terrible production profile coming out of Rutgers. He's old. He's short. He's smaller and a power back. Like, he's 5'8" and 207 as a power back. So it's kind of an interesting thing. But at the end of the day, what we learn about analytics, especially with running backs, is like, as long as guys get volume, bad players can be good. And so Monongai is definitely worth an ad, I think, this week. Moving on to someone much more light and much more exciting to me. Logan, can you tell us about Brashard Smith and why he is definitely a priority ad this week?
Well, I think he's definitely an ad. He had 14 carries this past week for 39 yards, which, isn't fantastic. That's below 3 yards per carry. But he did have 5 catches on 5 targets for 42 yards. Kareem Hunt had an injury in this game, and I think they're slowly going to phase Kareem Hunt out of this offense. Brashard Smith's more explosive, can add more to the passing game. So I think Brashard Smith, especially, Pacheco's not the most trustworthy running back. And so I think Brashard Smith, I think he's going to carve out a role for himself in this offense. So I think Brashard Smith is definitely worth an ad.
What do you think, Alex?
I'm going to have to strongly disagree with you on this one. I think everybody's excited to see the next Chiefs running back come out of nowhere and take over the offense like CEH did and Isaiah Pacheco did a couple years ago. I think that Pacheco, his volume's increasing every week. He started this season not fully healthy. Now he's turning into more of the workhorse. Pacheco is still the starter. Brashard Smith, most of his carries came in the fourth quarter when they were up 31-0, and they just threw Brashard Smith in for the rest of the game to run the ball. And Hunt still has the goal line rule. So I see Smith as maybe like a Nyheim Hines at his peak for this season, getting receiving work, but not really being a factor in the rushing attack. I don't think he's going to be a fantasy startable player for the rest of this season, unless something happens to Pacheco.
Dom, what do you think?
I think I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I see both sides. Definitely with Alex, with the hype maybe a little bit too large for him. But I also see Logan's side for the redraft league value. He's definitely a pickup. Obviously, if Pacheco goes down, he's an obvious flex, maybe low running back to start. I think his receiving volume is going to help him. Pacheco isn't known for his receiving work. So if you need somebody in PPR last minute, he's not a bad play, but he's more of a stash. And kind of hope for the best situation with him, because I do believe Kareem Hunt is going to be phased out of this offense, like Alex said, but it's the Chiefs, and it's running backs are kind of thrown around like no tomorrow. So it's not a bad stash for me, but I wouldn't go absolutely crazy. I think there's better names on this list.
Bro, I gotta disagree with the last two of y'all, of course. But dude, Brashard Smith, man, like, we have to keep in context looking at the game. They get Rashee Rice back. This was a huge game of like, let's see what we could do with Rashee now in the offense. And what did they do? They gave Brashard Smith his heaviest workload of the year. And he caught 4 of his 5 passes in the first half when they were still, pouring it on, which is a huge deal. Now, the second half of this game, you can just forget, because the Raiders weren't playing. Gardner Minshew was playing. Like, they were literally like just running plays and like hoping they would go down. They started kneeling before the 2-minute warning. Like, that's how like over this game was for the longest time. So Brashard Smith, I've talked about Jarek McKinnon quite often. 2022, last couple games of the year, week 14, he had 35 points with a 57% snap percentage. He only had 6 carries for 22 yards, but he had 7 catches on 9 targets for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Well, it's just a flash in the pan. What do they do next week? They go to Houston. RB1 on the week, 10 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown, 8 targets, 8 catches, 70 yards and a touchdown. And there's a 12-point game, 22-point game, 14-point game. I mean, he balled that year. And so I say that to say that Brashard Smith is a great ad, and we're looking towards the end of the season. This is once again one of those guys, like, if you're trying to get wins right now, yeah, it probably doesn't make sense. But if you're like sitting at the top of your league and you don't have Brashard Smith on your roster, you just don't like winning. He feels like one of those guys who on the back end of the year could explode. And it seems like the Chiefs really love him, and they've started to build trust in him. So, all right, let's see. Let's talk about the next guy, Jaydon Blue. So he got his heaviest workload this week, which wasn't a whole lot. He got handful of carries. I think he caught 1 pass. But Dom, do you think Jaydon Blue's worth a waiver wire ad this week?
No, I absolutely not. I think that Javonte Williams is the 3-down back workhorse in this offense, and Jaydon Blue is just another guy on this team. Yeah, he's fantastic. Like, he's a fantastic running back. I think that he's like skill wise, watching him, the eye test, I actually really like Jaydon Blue. So it's nothing against him. I just don't think – I think there's too many weapons on this offense, and I think Javonte Williams is too good right now. Obviously, injury, pick him up. He's a decent stash for me, but again, better guys on this list. I'd rather have Brashard Smith over Jaydon Blue right now, and I just kind of talk trash on Brashard Smith. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. Me too.
But yeah, definitely not a guy I'm gonna go out and pick up. I think there's better guys available.
Alex, what are your thoughts on Jaydon Blue?
Yeah, I'm with Dom here. I don't really see a way for him to get many carries. Javonte's been one of the biggest surprises for this season, one of the best free agent signings that went under the radar. And I don't think that Jaydon Blue is really threatening any of his role right now with Dallas.
Logan, what about you?
Sorry. For me, he's only viewed as like a stash pickup, and that's if you can afford to pick him up, like if you have available slots on your bench. But I want to like go and rush out to the waiver wire and go pick him up. He's only going to be valuable if Javonte Williams gets injured, because Javonte Williams has proven that he's a 3-down back in this offense. So unless Javonte Williams gets hurt, there's really no. I mean, you can stash him if you want, but he's not going to. He's going to be sitting on your bench for a lot of weeks.
Yeah, I think you can see the theme of these waiver ads this week is that there's really not a lot of like instant guys who are going to come and make an impact on your team. So this is one of those weeks where squinting our eyes. We're looking into the crystal ball, trying to see are there guys that we should pick up for the long-term haul that other people aren't thinking about. So Jaydon Blue, yeah. So obviously right now, like Javonte is balling, like, and I don't see that changing. But you are talking about a guy who's already torn his ACL. I think he tore an ACL in college too, and then has torn an ACL in the NFL. You know, he's still young, but we just know running back injuries come out of nowhere and could happen at any point in time. And if that were to happen, it's Jaydon Blue. Miles Sanders is, I think, on IR.
He's out for the year.
So he's out for the year. So it's Jaydon Blue, and then it's Phil Maffa. And I don't know if you know anything about Phil Maffa, but he's just a big lug. He looks exactly what his name sounds like. And in a high-scoring offense like this that loves to throw the ball, when they abandon the run because Javonte's no longer there, Jaydon Blue will be the guy receiving passes. And so this is a guy who runs like a 4. I think he runs a 4.3, 4.40. I mean, he is fast as lightning. He had a run that was called back in this game that was, you just could obviously see that he is faster than everyone else on the field. So Blue's definitely a guy I'm keeping my eye on. And I don't want to wait until the Javonte Williams injury. If I have the roster space and can afford to drop somebody to hold him, like I want to already have him so that when people go look at the waivers and they go, oh, where's Jaydon Blue? Well, Cameron's got him along with Brashard Smith and all these other young rookies that he loves. Anyway, let's move on. Another guy we talked about last week, Tez Johnson. Tez had a good game last night. So Logan, what do you think about Tez Johnson if people didn't pick him up last week?
Yeah, I think he's definitely worth an add. You know, Mike Evans now out for the foreseeable future with the broken clavicle injury. I think Tez Johnson, like last night, he had 9 targets and then he had 58 yards and a touchdown. Back-to-back games with a touchdown. It's going to be him and Egbuka. That's going to be the offense. Sterling Shepard had 7 catches for 25 yards. His targets are not going to be leading to that much. So it's really Egbuka and Tez Johnson's passing offense. And Baker Mayfield last night, he just wasn't really that sharp. I mean, he underthrew a lot of passes. He overthrew a lot of passes. There was a lot of yards and touchdowns to be had last night that just didn't happen because Mayfield was off his game.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually had Baker in a league, and he lost me my week, so I immediately traded him. This was Dynasty, too.
Nice.
But
wow.
so
What'd you trade him for?
I traded Baker Mayfield and Jacoby Myers for George Pickens and Michael Pittman Jr. So I think I won that just based on player value. I love Pickens.
Is it a single quarterback league?
It is a super flex league, but I have 3 other quarterbacks. I have May, Goff, and Rattler.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, had to give him up. I was mad at him for how he performed that game. But I will say he did feed Tez Johnson more than he has in prior weeks. Tez hadn't reached more than 4 targets on the season. Now Mike Evans out for a good amount of time with the broken clavicle, awful injury. Mm-hmm. Tez looked really good. He looked fast. He looked explosive. I don't know if you saw the touchdown that he had, but it was one of the most athletic touchdowns I've seen this year, including a hurdle and a spin move in the same play. He looked really good. He looks like he's improving, adjusting to the NFL game. I'd love to have him going forward.
Love it. Dom, what do you think about Tez?
Yeah, I'm on board. I love Tez. And I love his red zone production as well. I think 3-4 touchdowns the last 3 games or something like that. Something crazy like that. I know he scored in his last 2. But I do love his red zone upside. I know he doesn't get the most crazy amount of volume, but Mike Evans is out, like both Alex and Logan said. So I really like I really like Tez, especially as if you need like a wide receiver 3, if you're in a deeper league, he's fantastic. He has week to week upside as well, especially if Baker performs and Alex doesn't trade him away.
That's right.
I already did. It's too late now.
I love a good rage trade. It just brings me joy. So yeah, Tez, dude, I think Tez is a great buy or add this week. He's probably, I'd say he's right under Oronde Gadsden for me. With Mike Evans out, the questions around Chris Godwin, like I know he played like 2 weeks ago, but He hasn't played in the last 2 games, and there's not really been a lot of talk about him. So it just makes me wary. Even when he comes back, he's probably going to be back in more of a limited capacity. Tez is small, fast. He's a good complement to Egbuka. And with Egbuka on the other side of the field, it's just going to open up everything for Tez. And so I really like Tez. I think Tez is a very good ad this week, even though he's only 140 pounds. But enough with all these freaking rookies. Is this all we talk about? Let's talk about some real players. Let's talk about somebody with some accolades to his name, Mr. Joe Flacco, the ageless wonder, balled out against my Pittsburgh Steelers. Just irritated the crap out of me. He balled. He was like QB5, QB6 on the week. Dom, are we buying Joe Flacco?
Yeah, I like it. Before this week, I was doing a little research, and I seen he didn't have any interceptions, and I'm like, that's interesting. It's not very Joe Flacco of him. And going into this game, I was like, he's gonna do terrible against the Steelers. It's just that kind of matchup, that Thursday night football prime time, perfect spiral into the other team's hand, and he balled out. So I wouldn't mind. If you need another quarterback, I do think there's other quarterbacks available that have a better upside. But if it's a deeper league, if it's like a super flex, I don't mind Joe Flacco at all. I think he's a very solid pickup.
Alex, what about you?
I think Joe Flacco is doing the same thing for fantasy owners as he did for the Bengals. For the Bengals, he swooped in when they had an injury to their actual starter, and now he's doing great against defenses you didn't think he'd do great against, and now he has a chance to do great against defenses that he should do great against. In the next, I think, 7 weeks, he plays against the Bears, who are the 7th worst defense against quarterbacks, the Steelers, who are the 4th so far this year, giving up the 4th most points to quarterbacks, and the Ravens. He plays them twice. They're giving up the 2nd most to quarterbacks so far this season. So his schedule is looking nice. And honestly, I didn't expect to see Joe Flacco play so well, but he's got the weapons better than he has probably in his entire career. And he actually looked like he could use them against the Steelers. I love him going forward. If you had Michael Penix go down with injury, or you had Bryce Young, pick up Joe Flacco. He can save your season.
Logan, how you feeling about the ageless wonder?
When you target Jamar Chase 23 times, you're going to produce some good numbers, and that's what he did on Thursday. So, and he has the weapons. He has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. For people who are panicking on Jamar Chase and trading him away, that looks pretty foolish now. I mean, he's had back-to-back weeks of really good fantasy production. But yeah, Joe Flacco, you give a quarterback just some weapons. The offensive line's still shaky, but I think, like Alex said, really favorable schedule moving forward. And he's going to air the ball out. He doesn't really care about, if he turns over the ball or not. He's going to throw the ball down the field, and he is Jamar Chase. So I would add Joe Flacco as well.
Yeah, Joe comes back in his 2nd game there, gives the Bengals their first good running game of the season, 100 yards for Chase Brown. It just opened up the offense so much. Flacco's just an easy ad this week. I mean, if you're struggling quarterback wise, Flacco's the perfect guy. We can talk quickly about this next waiver guy, but first I have to read you something I just found on Twitter while going through this. It's relevant. It's about Brashard Smith, and I just have to read this to you guys. Ready? So this is a guy on Twitter. Great follow. If you're not following him, at FF Data Rama. Just incredible insights into the game. He says this about Brashard. Brashard Smith has a pretty wild role, basically operating as a hybrid running back and receiver. He's running 60% of his routes from either the slot or out wide per fantasy points data. No other running back is above a 40% rate here. Among players with 35-plus routes, Brashard is 3rd in the NFL in yards per route and is easily leading in targets per route run, 0.51. Next closest is 0.37. Smith is averaging 4 targets per game over the past month. If he can add 6 to 8 carries per game and hold on to this robust receiving role, Smith could be a very worthwhile fantasy piece. That's for free for all y'all. I got to read my Brashard Smith hype. All right, last guy I've got on this list. And I can tell you what I'm going to say about this, but I want to hear what y'all have to say about this. Mr. Xavier Legette. balls out. I think he had 9 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown in a real stinker of a game. But Logan, are we buying into Xavier Legette this week?
Well, so Bryce Young's going to be out for next few weeks, and when Andy Dalton was in the game, he targeted Legette 7 times. That was his guy. I had Legette in a dynasty league, and I traded him. My brother and I cut him like a few weeks ago, and now he's producing as soon as he gets off our roster. I still don't really buy into it. Now he's played great this past week. He had 92 yards and a touchdown. I just don't really buy into it. So I am not going to add him.
On the Sunday night podcast, I was there with Caleb and we were talking about this game, and Caleb goes, yeah, I was just listening to the fantasy show from this past week, and Logan and you were on the show saying Xavier Legette sucks.
I know. I said Jalen Coker's going to be the wide receiver 2 on the roster when he comes back, and then Legette does that. It makes me look really dumb. So, but I still don't buy into it.
Hey, Coker's still warming up. But Alex, how do you feel about Legette?
It's funny because I called it last week. I was like, guys, I still think Xavier Legette might be fantasy relevant, and I got ridiculed. And then he did this. But I will admit it was the absolute perfect storm for Legette. Number 1, Tet was getting shouted by Sauce Gardner the entire game. Number 2, Hunter Renfrow was out. And number 3, Coker, it was his first game back from injury. He was getting 2 targets and not doing anything with them. I don't even know if Legette is going to reach 5 targets again for the rest of the season. If Andy Dalton actually likes him, then maybe he will, but it might have just been that Andy Dalton was very scared of Sauce Gardner. And going forward, there's a lot more competition for targets. I don't think Xavier Legette's going to repeat this performance probably for the rest of the season.
All right, Dom, let's hear it.
I have to disagree. I really, really like Xavier Legette. Coming into this season, I had him as a very sneaky. I thought he was going to be more dominant, like these guys said from the get-go, especially with a couple of the Panthers wide receivers on IR. But I appreciate him breaking out now, and I think that going forward, you have guys like Tet that are going to steal a lot of this. Because if just from the eye test, just from watching that game on Sunday, you saw Tet was drawing so much attention, and that's what really gave Andy Dalton that, because he had 57% target share from Andy Dalton. So that's like 57% target. If he can continue that, even half of that throughout the season, he's going to have a really, really nice fantasy output, because fantasy is just volume. It doesn't matter how good you are. He's not a fantastic receiver. He's not as good as Tet, but Tet's going to draw a lot of attention now, especially that Panthers are going to be very pass heavy. We know who Andy Dalton is, so it can be quite pass heavy. So I think that he's a decent waiver wire pickup. Stash him, see how he does next week, see if he can repeat it, but not a bad buy.
Yeah, if Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco are like top 5 quarterbacks next week, I just might cry. Former AFC North QBs and pain. I'm not interested at all in Xavier Legette. I'll hold the line. I do not care. We do not care. I understand what everybody else is saying. I'll just hold the line. I think he sucks. And I think that 100% Tet was getting shadowed. I think Coker's working back from injury. I think Dalton came in and they were, just force feeding it to Legette. I don't think Legette he doesn't suck. That's probably aggressive. He just can't get open most of the time. And so a lot of his catches are contested or against zone. He's great with the ball in his hands. And I wish if they gave him a role where kind of like a Rashee Rice role where he could kind of create yards after the catch. Oh, Legette, I would be singing a totally different tune on Legette. But, I just don't buy this performance as a long-term thing. So with that, we're done with waivers. If anybody has any other waiver ads, because I'm sure there's more, but it's kind of a weird week waiver wire-wise. But if you have any other questions on ads or drops, look at that, right on time. We do have a question on waiver wire. Let's pull this up. Come on. Oh. Why is it freezing? Okay. From AC Dimes. What's up, AC? Should I pick up Marvin Mims for Tyrone Tracy? What do you boys think?
I like that. I'm not a Tyrant. I'm a full Skattebo believer, so this to me it makes a lot of sense. That Broncos offense, especially this past week, has been on fire. It's not gonna be like that every week, but I mean he is the wide receiver 3 in this offense, but they're still airing the ball out. I don't hate it. If you're good on running backs, I would do it. I don't think Tyrone Tracy carries that much value anymore. That's just me personally.
Tracy did have
Yeah.
a good few more carries this week than the week before. I think that his workload is upticking. He's going to maybe become even with Skattebo again in rushes. I think I'd wait a week to see if he does pick up more of the role next week before I drop him for somebody like Mims, especially because Mims, he hasn't been great except for a couple boom weeks this year.
Yeah, I think Marvin Mims is too boom or bust to drop Tracy, especially if Skattebo goes down and Tracy, ends up getting more of a workload. So I personally would not make this move.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Logan on this one. I did think that Marvin Mims is just terrifying. You never know when he's going to go off. And, he's a great best ball pick because you don't have to worry about starts and sits. But when you have to worry about starts and sits, you're risking 2 points or 30 points. It is like insane. If you need receiver, then yeah, I understand dropping Tracy for him. But yeah, Tracy had a decent game this past week against a pretty good defense. So this might mean some more Tracy, especially with the lack of receiving options. Tyrone Tracy, former wide receiver. So AC, thank you for the comment. And yeah, all right. So we're going to move in now at 8 p.m. into the main part of the show, the Would You Rather. So I went to Fantasy Pros website to look up their rest of season rankings, and I've pulled out some names here, and they're going to be head to heads. And I want to hear from everybody who you would rather have rest of season. So let's start with this one first, and it's quarterback. So Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Patrick Mahomes. Out of those three, who would you rather have for the rest of the season? Logan, let's start with you.
As a Chiefs fan, I would love to say Patrick Mahomes, but the other two quarterbacks have that rushing upside. And I know Mahomes also runs a good amount, but Josh Allen's going to produce more of these explosive games with his legs. Lamar, the hamstring injury is a bit, could that be re-aggravated? Sure. But of these three, I would probably take Josh Allen the rest of the season, just from a fantasy perspective. But like I said, I do think Mahomes has been arguably the best quarterback in the league the last few weeks. But I'll take Josh Allen in this conversation.
Alex, what do you think?
I'm with Logan here. Josh Allen is the best fantasy quarterback. He has been for 4 seasons consistently. Lamar was number 1 last year. Josh Allen was number 1 the 3 years prior. I'd stick with Josh Allen.
What about you, Dom?
I want to be the black sheep here. I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't gotten less than 29 fantasy points since week 1. Week 1, he had 15. Ever since then, he's had 29 or more fantasy points. His rushing upside is fantastic. This year, especially with Rashee Rice back, the stars are the limits for him, and he's. I would have him rest of the season. Lamar is a little bit too volatile right now with this injury and re-aggravating it. I think Josh Allen this year is a little wishy-washy, especially with his passing game. Obviously, his rushing upside is still there, but I personally love Patrick Mahomes this year.
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps this up, we could be looking at like a 45 touchdown season for Mahomes, and he's running. I'm on the Mahomes train, and I think Josh Allen, yes, he has been the best quarterback in the year for the last couple of years, and I don't think you can count out Lamar. I would actually go Mahomes, Lamar, then Josh. I just think the offense in Buffalo is struggling a lot, and their weapons are abysmal. And I know, it's been like that for the last 3 years, and it doesn't matter, but they've been struggling a lot these last couple games. Lamar is going to come back from injury, and they got to be all gas, no brakes to try to win the division. They're 1-5. They can't lose. So Lamar, it's going to be all on his shoulders. He's probably going to ball out. But man, Mahomes right now, this is the first game he had with Rashee, and they blew out the Raiders. He might not be the best fantasy quarterback if he keeps sitting for the full fourth quarter, but yeah, I think Mahomes is definitely. I'll glaze. Mahomes is going to be the best quarterback on the season this year.
I don't
all
hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate
Second options. This is a little bit more of the mid-tier quarterbacks. Jaxson Dart or Caleb Williams rest of season. Sorry, let's go with Dom first.
Man, you know my answer. It's going to be Caleb all day. I know he had a really bad performance this week, but they're going to figure out this offense. He has too many weapons and too many stars on that team to disappoint. I love Jaxson Dart. This is really close for me. So, and in my head right now, I'm going back and forth, but I would much rather Caleb Williams, putting my Bears bias aside, just because of his potential touchdown, throughout the season. But the Giants' offense is just bad. Other than Jaxson Dart and Cam Skattebo, it's just bad. That line is terrible. I don't trust it. So for me, it's Caleb.
I will accept no Lil Jordan Humphrey slander on this show. Moving on to Alex. Alex, who are you taking rest of the season?
This one's close because I think Caleb Williams right now is such a better quarterback. He just doesn't have the same rushing upside as Jaxson Dart. And I think because Jaxson Dart's rushing for so many touchdowns, he has more QB power plays. I think I'd have Jaxson Dart a little bit above him just because the floor is higher. Even on bad weeks, he's going to get rush yards. So I'd go Jaxson Dart.
Logan, what about you?
I think I go Jaxson Dart as well. I do think the Bears offense is slowly shifting to a more run-heavy offense. We've kind of seen Caleb struggle a bit the last 2 weeks, and because of that, Monongai is now getting involved in the offense. I really think Ben Johnson's going to implement that Detroit Lions scheme where they run the ball a lot, try to get Caleb Williams going off the play-action game. So I think Giants are more reliant on Jaxson Dart producing through the air and through his legs. So I would take Jaxson Dart just based on the fact that he provides a higher ceiling.
Yeah. This is a really tough one for me. In Fantasy Pros, Jaxson Dart is QB 11 rest of season, Caleb Williams QB 12 rest of season. I think that I don't know, man. It's really difficult. I think I'll probably go Caleb Williams because I just trust his consistency a little bit more, even though he's struggling. Jaxson Dart did have his best fantasy game against the Broncos this week, so that's something. But also some of those touchdown catches were like the most miraculous things I've ever seen. So yeah, that's a good time. All right, moving on. Let's talk some running backs. We've got Saquon or Javonte Williams rest of season. Logan, sorry, I keep forgetting to nominate.
You're good. I would probably take Saquon. I know it's a very, it's a very scary proposition because he just does not look like the same player he was last year, kind of wear and tear. But their schedule does line up the next few weeks. And so I think they're going to continue to feature him in this offense. I think he's going to get, more passing work. And Javonte, to me, he's been great this season. I still don't know if it's a ticking time bomb if he's going to be staying healthy. But I'm not, entirely confident in this answer, but I'll take Saquon the rest of the season.
Cool. Alex, your final answer. I think you're muted.
Pick the running back who almost just rushed for 2,000 yards last year. He'll get back on track. We watched AJ Brown get back on track. Saquon Barkley is still the player he was last year, even if he's not playing like it fully right now. I'm 100% taking him over Javonte Williams.
I love it. All right, Alex, you're heading out.
On that note, I'll head out. Keep Saquon Barkley.
Do your thing, man.
Away. But yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.
See you, Alex.
See you, Alex.
All right. Dom, what about you? Who are you taking, Saquon or Javonte?
I wish Alex was still here to hear this, but I'm gonna keep Saquon. I love the proposition that people might want to trade him away. I think he's a fantastic buy low. This isn't going to keep up like this. Something's going to change in that offense, and he's going to get his workload back. He had 6 carries this past week, which was like abysmal. So, and he's still, I know 5. Well, I don't know what he had. I think he had 5 points, 5.6 points. I know that's terrible, but he's still one of the best running backs in the league. he's going to get back to form. I'd rather have Saquon. If you can get him low right now, I would get him.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough one. You got to trust Saquon rest of the season with the Eagles, right? He's got to bounce back. Nah, I'm going Javonte. High scoring offense. Roll the dice, man. If you're going to live, just live on the wild side. Go Javonte. So next, Ashton Jeanty, Cam Skattebo, or Quinshon Judkins. This is a fun one. So Ashton is RB13, Cam Skattebo RB14, Quinshon RB15. Rest of season ranks. Who are you taking out of those three?
I'll tell you right now, Jeanty, I'm not even considering in this conversation. Jeanty, it's not even because of the player. The position or like the situation with the Raiders, offensive line's terrible. Geno Smith's terrible. So I'm not even going to consider Jeanty. I'll probably take Cam Skattebo because he gets more receiving work than Quinshon Judkins, but I love Judkins. But Judkins does, I believe he plays the Patriots this week, which are a really good run defense. I'll take Cam Skattebo just because of the receiving work.
I love it. What do you think, Dom?
We're going to have such a controversial take, but I think criminal running backs always do so good in fantasy. So give me Quinshon Judkins. He's explosive. If just watching him, he's one of the best running backs in the league. He's going to be one of the best running backs in the league, and that's the Browns offense. I really love him in this offense. I think he had like close to 8 yards per carry. So it's just he's fantastic. I love him. He's, like I said, this entire Browns offense. This runs through him and only through him. 3 touchdowns this week. I know it's the Dolphins, but every time I know I really love Skattebo. I'm on board with Logan with this. I'm not even looking at Jeanty. Genty's great, but these other 2 guys have too much volume, and that's what it's all about in fantasy. I think Genty's the best overall running back out of all 3 of them, but volume-wise, Judkins is just this entire Browns team.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, all 3 of these guys, I feel like you could make a case for. Oh, he got the Browns.
I should have pulled it out when I was talking about
Did you find that out at Goodwill? Where was that?
I had a TJ Maxx. I found it, and I was like, "This is too good to pass this up."
I love it. Yeah. So I obviously I think Jeanty's the most talented out of these 3, and Judkins is balling out. But give me Skattebo, man. Give me Cam Skattebo on an offense just completely devoid of playmakers. This was the real test game, I think, for Skattebo. Going against Denver, they are a little weaker against the run, but when the Giants have no real offensive weapons right now at wide receiver, they turn to Skattebo. His floor is high because he's catching passes. I literally had this discussion with my wife because she was trying to figure out who to start in the flex, Jordan Mason or Skattebo. So I taught her about, trust the guy with the higher floor and all this different stuff. So she went with Skattebo, put Mason on the bench, but she also it's a 2 flex league. She had Darren Waller in the other flex spot, and she didn't even tell me. I was like, oh, Lord. Could have played both.
Yes.
Yeah, give me Skattebo in that one. And all right, we got another one, and this will probably be Logan's last one because I think you got to head out. So I'm going to start with you. Travis Etienne or Kenneth Walker rest of season?
This is the grossest one that you presented. I'm going to take Travis Etienne, though, because Kenneth Walker, he's just losing all the goal line work to Charbonnet. He's not getting really any goal line carries to score touchdowns. And, his injuries have also been a story of his career. I hate the answer, but I'll take Etienne here. I think it's evil, both evil in both worlds. So I'll take Etienne, though.
Dom, what about you?
I gotta agree. It's very gross, and I have in both of them on one team in one of my leagues. So, and I traded for both of them early season. So, very, very gross, and I have to make the decision weekly. But I'll live and die by Etienne. I think he's just gonna get. I know you're a Bayshall Tootin believer, Cam, but for me, it's Travis all the way. Kenneth Walker's way too volatile right now. He's not getting touches. Charbonnet is getting more receiving work than him, more touches than him. It's too unpredictable, and this Seahawks offense runs through JSN right now. Not even in this run game, so I'd much rather have Etienne.
All right. Yeah. I'll say this really quick, and then Logan, whenever you need to go, you're more than willing to head out. But I'll say this: Etienne. I was definitely wrong on him early in the season. Played really well. Offensive line played really well, but the offensive line play has regressed. I think that Etienne has regressed because of that, and he's not very good at forcing missed tackles. I think he hasn't forced a missed tackle in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I just think, of course, I'm a Bashal Tootin guy, so he's inevitable. Kenneth Walker for me is the guy, and this is a gross one, but with these two guys, I much prefer Kenneth Walker in the timeshare than Travis Etienne, who could easily get supplanted. All right, I'm gonna move to the next one: JSN or Jamar Chase. And Logan, since you're here, you want to answer this one?
This will be my final one, and then I have to go. But this is a really interesting one. Jason, he's had 5 games of over 100 yards this season, and I think he needs 1 more to break or tie a record in the NFL with amount of 100-yard games in the season. I'm gonna take JSN. I'm gonna run or ride the hot wave of JSN, and I think Jamar Chase. He's produced the last 2 weeks of Joe Flacco, but you see these older quarterbacks. When does that flame kind of die out? And Joe Flacco, it could die out as soon as next week. So I'm going to take JSN pair of Sam Darnold. He's the main receiver in this offense, and there's really no competition for targets.
Yeah. Shout out to my friend Brian, who traded me JSN for Derrick Henry and a 28 first.
Still absurd.
God, I could kiss him on the lips. It's so absurd. I loved it. I thought for sure.
On that note, I should.
Yeah, save yourself, Logan.
Yeah, take care, guys.
We'll see you, Logan.
See ya.
Yeah, I going into the game last night, I saw JSN going against Houston, and all I could see was him going against Derek Stingley, and I was like, "Oh, brother, it's gonna be rough." And no, 8 catches, 125 yards and a touchdown. He caught his touchdown on Derek Stingley. Dude, I don't know if I take him over Jamar, just especially with the Flacco thing. But I think I might have to take him over Jamar right now. He's so good.
I remember drafting him in Dynasty this year for my first Dynasty league ever I've done, and I was like, I don't know. Cooper Kupp might be the wide receiver 1 because that's when everybody was like, "Oh, be careful. He's still going to be a wide receiver 2 in this offense." And just watching him go from that into the best wide receiver right now in football, and I say that confidently. He is the best wide receiver in football, and with no offense to Sam Darnold, because Sam Darnold's a great quarterback. Not for nothing, but it's Sam Darnold. Imagine if he had a Josh Allen, or imagine if he had a Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow was throwing to him instead of Jamar Chase, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. So for me, it's JSN all the way. I'm so excited to see what he does in Dynasty. For me, especially in these next couple of years, but I love him. I adore him. And if I win my Dynasty League, I'm getting his jersey immediately.
Yeah, it just warms my heart. I traded so much to get him in Dynasty, in so many leagues. And then that first year just broke my heart. We've already talked about this, but, I traded him off for value because I thought he was a bust. And last year he had a great year, but still I wasn't fully in. And this year, just the first 3-4 games, I was like, oh, yeah. We're back. And I traded for him right at the right time. He has not looked back. I mean, this dude is just straight balling. And it's funny because that Ohio State receiver room, it was Emeka Egbuka, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like I'm missing one guy. But it was just so good. And they all of them said JSN was the best out of all of them. And we should have listened. Just should have listened. But you can't listen to everybody.
We thought it was Marvin Harrison, but it was really JSN.
And then I remember one guy that did something like that similar. AJ Brown said that Elijah Moore was better than he was. And I was so excited about Elijah Moore. And that did not pan out well. A.J. Brown was lying to us.
Was that Jets Elijah Moore?
That was, Jets Elijah Moore. Yep.
That's a while ago.
All right. Rashee Rice or Emeka Egbuka?
Man, that's hard. That's tough.
That's
a
hard.
good one. I don't know what they're ranked on Fantasy Pros, but it has to be like super close.
So Rashee Rice is the wide receiver 9 rest of season, and Emeka Egbuka is wide receiver 12 rest of season.
I think I'm going to go against him. I think I'm going Egbuka. I know that Baker had a terrible game last season. I know that Mahomes has been balling out and Rashee Rice coming back 23 points, but I just think now that Mike Evans is out, I almost said Mike Williams. Mike Evans is out. I think that Egbuka is the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver in that offense. I know Tez Johnson there, but he's the Devonta Smith to this A.J. Brown. Egbuka is going to be so good, and he's I could see him in that JSN role where he's getting eight receptions a game on 10, 11 targets. So even if he gets 6 or 7 targets a game or less, he's still going to be really, really, really productive, and he's going to have that volume if Baker continues to ball out. So I like Egbuka, but it's personally like super close, and I could see it going either way.
Yeah, I purposely picked this one because it's really hard to pick. And I think I'm going to go Rashee. Just, if Mahomes has a QB1 overall season, then Rashee Rice is the main recipient of that. And we already saw them. He just ultra targeted Rashee. Didn't have a huge ADOT, which wasn't to be expected. But I think that the more he gets involved in the offense, it's going to open up for him. And with Mahomes playing like he is, I think the sky's the limit for Rashee Rice. We could be talking next year like JSN, Rashee Rice over Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Wild. But Emeka, I still love Emeka. He's the number 1 target there. No Mike Evans, no Godwin until further notice. His only competition is Tez Johnson. I just wonder if defenses are going to key in on Egbuka now because they have such limited options. So next one, Tetaroia McMillan, our guy. We talk about him every week. Or Lad McConkey. Who you got, Dom?
I like Tet. I like Tet way better than McConkey. I just feel like that offense has too many weapons. And especially now that the tight end is getting 9 targets a game. Oronde Gadsden, I think his name is.
Oronde Gadsden.
Oronde Gadsden.
Yep.
Yeah, he balled out last game too. So now you have 4 different receivers in that offense who all deserve the ball, who all can ball out. I just don't think McConkey is stable enough to keep. He's going to have great weeks and he's going to have really bad weeks. And I just think Tet, especially now that Andy Dalton's playing, is more more exciting passer than Bryce Young, but a more stable passer. I know I love Xavier Legette too, but Tet's the main guy in that offense, and he's gonna get simpler targets, better yard, and he has fantastic yards after catch. I don't know his exact yak, but it's better than what he would have with Bryce Young.
Yeah, I definitely think Ted in this one. This was kind of an easier one. Lad's been coming on a lot more these last couple weeks, but like you said, a lot of receiving options in that Chargers offense, and it seems to be changing week to week. So it's harder to depend on one. I'd rather take the stab at Tetaroia, even though like this week he only had like 5 or 6 points, 3 catches, like 30 yards. This was just one of those games where he was covered by one of the best corners in the NFL. And I think with Andy Dalton, especially the next 2 weeks, like Andy Dalton is probably going to just feed this dude, and all that stuff you saw go to Legette, double it for Ted. It's on, baby. It's on.
Yeah.
So, all right, Trey McBride or Tyler Warren, who you taking rest of season?
Man, if they start Jacoby Brissett every game, it'd be Trey McBride. Yeah. But I still do think, man, that's really tough.
That's a very tough one.
I'm thinking about these past 2 weeks and how good he did. Man, that's so tough because we don't know what this Arizona offense looks like at full potential. And I man, I think I still have to go Trey McBride. I think he's the safest. I think we talked about this the one time. He's the safest option in this offense. And I think he was one of our buy lows one week because he had like 9 points, 8 points, or something like that. He's the most targeted player in this offense, wide receiver, tight end, and he's the safest. We were just talking about yards after catch. His yards after catch is crazy. He moves like a receiver. So I just think that he's a little bit more safer than Warren. Not to say that Warren isn't safe, but I like Trey McBride a little bit. That has to be like 1 or 2 on Fantasy Pros because they're both fantastic.
Literally the 1 and 2. Bowers is 3, if that's interesting at all. And then
Very.
I think it's Kittle. But yeah, I think it's McBride. But don't sleep on Warren, man. Warren just such a special player. The only thing that bothers me with how the Colts run that offense, it's like Warren gets most of his work in the first half, and then the second half, like he kind of disappears. And I think that's a function. I don't know if it's just a function of the game script and how it goes. But Warren's a dog, man. And if he were to get, just a couple more targets a game, man, I'd be saying Warren tight end 1. This is really close. You can't go wrong with either one. I'll stick with McBride though. That's my dog. He just doubled his touchdown count from last year. So
yeah, I don't know if they run it anymore. I haven't watched this week's game with the Colts, but they ran him at running back too. Like I would love for that for them to be like a weekly thing where they have him in the red zone and they run him at running back. That's what he did in college. So,
and he also did the Wildcat quarterback thing, so he could throw a touchdown. That's an extra avenue for 6 points. I mean, Warren just has so many ways to score, and that offense is clicking on all cylinders. Probably a tougher one, but here we go: Oronde Gadsden or Harold Fannin Jr. rest of season.
I know you're a Harold Fannin Jr. believer, and I don't know if I have to put this back on, but I think we're Harold Fannin Jr. rest of the season. Like I said, I think that Chargers offense is a little bit too up and down. Gadsden's great for good weekly matchups, but I think Fannin. I think especially that Njoku is out, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's dealing with an injury from last week as well. So if Njoku's out, must start every single week. And I think this game was a little weird with the wind situation. I think it was like 80 plus miles per hour wind.
Yeah.
So he's averaging like 8 targets a game. Like he's a must start every week. And he hasn't even had that crazy of red zone targets as well. So once those start going up, he's going to be a monster. So I'm all day Harold Fannin.
Yeah, this is a tough one because it's like, 2 guys who are late round rookie picks, both, exceeding expectations early on. Fannin's been doing it a little longer. I mean, since week 1. But the difference for me is that the Browns offense versus the Chargers offense. If the Browns get down by 30 points, they're probably going to fold and run the ball with Quinshon. Whereas the Chargers, they're going to just air it out. And maybe I'm sipping the Kool-Aid a little bit. Maybe this is the poison that kills the cat. But I'll take a dive on Oronde Gadsden. I just think this last game, this is the most yards for a rookie tight end in NFL history in one game, 164 yards. Back-to-back games of 8 targets in a crowded receiver room. I think we haven't seen the best of Gadsden yet, and this pains me because I'm the Fannin guy. I was the guy who was touting him early on, saying go get Fannin, and that looks really good now. But I still think Fannon's really good. It's so close. These guys are tight end 13 and 14. I think that's a little low for both of them. I think by end of year, I think we're looking at potentially tight end 7, tight end 8 back to back. You know, would you rather have Jake Ferguson or one of these two guys?
Jake Ferguson. He's I mean, that's also really tough too, because off the bat, I'm thinking Jake Ferguson, but now CeeDee Lamb's back. Javonte Williams got to cook in that offense. George Pickens still got to cook in that offense. I still would take Jake Ferguson because that's one of Dak's favorite targets, especially in the red zone.
Dak loves him.
But yeah, I think for me it's Jake Ferguson and then those two guys after. But it's tight end is so weird this year, and it's always been weird. So every week it's like one goes up, one goes down.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if next week we're talking about how I don't even know how to say his name. Oronde Gadsden is above Ferguson. So it's so volatile.
It's very volatile. For the record, I would take both those guys over Ferguson. I do not like Jake Ferguson. And Dak loves him. So maybe I'll be wrong on that, but I like both those guys better than him. So, all right. Now we'll shift, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on this. Just a couple buy lows, buy highs, sell low, sell high guys I've got listed. And if you've got any you want to add in or comment on these, you're more than welcome. So I'll hit the buy lows first. Rome Odunze, Xavier Worthy, Jalen Waddle. All three of these guys had really poor games this last week. And I think they're all going to bounce back. We're buying high on Rashee Rice and Cam Skattebo, whatever it takes to get Rashee. And then Skattebo, I don't see it stopping, even with Tracy playing a little bit more. We're selling low on Quinton Johnston, selling high on A.J. Brown. Any of these guys you want to comment on?
I would be cautionary on the Jalen Waddle and Rome Odunze. I like them as a buy low. But like I think Alex said before, with Rome Odunze especially, this Bears offense is transitioning into a more run-heavy offense with those quick slant passes and chipping away first and second down running-wise. And I would be careful with this Dolphins offense as well with Jalen Waddle. It's a mess down in Miami right now. It's so bad. So I would just be careful with that. If you can get them for lower value, get them. They have such high ceilings, both players, but they have such low floors. You saw it last week with last 2 weeks with Rome Odunze, because I own him in one of my leagues, average of 4.7 points both weeks. So just be careful with those guys. I agree with the Skattebo pick though. I absolutely love Skattebo. He's not stopping. I know that we had some talks a couple weeks ago. If Tyron Tracy comes back, he might be a little, down ticking his usage. But Brian Dable knows that these two guys, Dart and Skattebo, are saving his job right now. So and I have another maybe sneaky one a little bit. Jordan Mason, if you could sell him high. Right now, I know he only had 11 points, and it's not selling high, but if you could get some value back for him right now, like if you can get that for, I know people wouldn't do that, but like a Waddle, if you could do that right now, because that touchdown saved his day. He had 6 points before that, so he had 11 points at the end. But if you can get rid of him now, I think Xavier Scott's taken his place at the moment in carries. So I wouldn't. They don't even know who their RB1 is in Minnesota. So if you can get rid of him, I'd get rid of him as fast as you can.
What was I'm curious, because that was one game I guess I didn't look into as a ton. I want to see Xavier Scott. Well, golly, he's so hard to find. There's so many other Xaviers that are. It's Xavier. That's why. Okay. Hold on. So, Yeah, Xavier had an okay game. I just think Jordan Mason's just, that offense. It's the offense. The offense isn't that good. They're not run heavy. They're pass heavy. Highest pass rate over expectation, or one of the highest pass rate over expectation teams in the league. And Aaron Jones comes back, I think this week, if not next week. And, I just think the team trusts Jones. I mean, I know he's injury prone and old, but I just think they're going to lean on him a lot more. It might actually open things up a little bit more for Mason, but his ceiling's always going to be limited. And so he's a guy, he's like a roster clogger, I would say. He's a guy that, it's going to look crazy if you drop him for Brashard Smith. But if you're 6-0, 7-0, whatever, what's the point in keeping a Jordan Mason on your team? So that when one of your running backs gets hurt, you put in a guy who gets you 10 points? Forget that. Let me go get Brashard Smith, who will also get you 10 points by doing a whole lot less.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm not big on Jordan Mason. But, on the Jalen Waddle thing, like the Dolphins' offense is definitely in disarray right now. And they haven't fired Mike McDaniels yet. So that offense, I think, still has a heartbeat. And if they haven't fired him yet, I'm wondering if they're going to try to stick it out with him, or they're going to wait till later in the season.
How late do you wait? Like, how late do you wait with them?
Well, for me, it's not. I mean, Mike McDaniels is a good coach offensively. He's just not a great head coach. And I wonder who else on that coaching staff is going to help them change the culture of the team. I think they're so invested in Mike McDaniels that it might be more destructive to the team by letting him go, because like that's a massive culture shift, going from a guy like McDaniels to somebody else who's more of a normal thinker. So you talked about the Browns thing, with Fannin, how they played in that monsoon. Tua was playing in that monsoon and playing from behind and throwing to Waddle, and they just don't do very well in weather games. I definitely, and I think most fantasy managers hate owning Jalen Waddle. So he's probably the most attainable guy here. Worthy, I just think Worthy he's gonna be so good. I think this was obviously like the Rashee game. Like everybody got to eat. We got to bring him back in. We got to show off that, he's back. But as the season progresses, I think Rashee and Worthy are probably going to do a lot of similar things. They're just going to split it, and it's going to make them both more explosive, and Worthy will be way more. Now Worthy can be the Tyquan Thornton down deep, and Worthy's going to catch the ball way more than Tyquan could, and he's faster than Tyquan.
Do you think he's like that? Do you think it's like a Detroit situation with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra type of deal?
I think it's probably similar, except Worthy, I think, is like miles better than Jameson Williams. I've never been a Jameson Williams guy. This was the first year I ever drafted him seriously, and I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I did it.
It's so annoying to watch him play, and you're hoping for points because he's just the decoy. That's all he is. He just jogs around the field, and it's like, not jogs, but he runs around the field, and he's just a decoy. And it's like when he does good, it's always the 3 for 3 and a touchdown, or if it's never like he catches these targets that are like close to him, and then he's off. But if he doesn't have a good game, he gets like no targets, and it drives me crazy watching him.
Yeah, it's insane. Literally 0 points. 0. Yeah, he's just painful. He's only had 3 games at 5 targets or plus, and the rest of them are below 5.
That's a do not touch. That's a do not touch player.
Yes. If you could sell him for anything, I'm selling him. I'll sell him for Jordan Mason. I don't care. But yeah, I think the rest of these guys, like AJ Brown, even though he had a great game and Hurts looked really good, I think this is a great sell high opportunity, if you can sell him, because Devonta Smith was very much the better receiver in that game. And obviously the stat line shows it. Some people may think okay, The Eagles are back. The offense is good. And that was a great game by the Eagles. I'll give it to them. They played great on offense. Hurts, especially. I've been dogging Hurts. He's no longer in my room. But I just think Devonta Smith is more the guy that's going to be open. And I just think AJ Brown, like I'm hoping for an AJ Brown trade. Like, please, God, trade him. Just somewhere. Send him back to Tennessee. I don't care.
Because I think we talked about it. He's like skill wise, he's a top 10 receiver in the league.
Yep. Top
100%.
five. Top five.
Yeah. That's not crazy at all. And he's just not targeted. And it's just he runs these weird routes. Like he's a decoy. Like they use him as, and I understand that he's getting triple covered, covered by the best cornerback in the game usually. But man, he's just not used how he's supposed to be used. And it sucks because you see that 2023 year where he was the like wide receiver 5 or 4 and he was balling out. But it just him I would trade high for. I don't know if you included Saquon on this list, but Saquon is I think we talked about before, such a great buy low where he's his production is going to go up. They're not going to pass like that every game. Hurts loves just checking it down to him and letting him rumble a little bit. So I know his targets haven't been fantastic and his volume hasn't been fantastic, but it's going to go up the rest of the year. Yeah.
This was probably one of my bolder like offseason hot takes, was just that Saquon was not worthy of being a first or even a second round pick this year. I wasn't touching him unless like if he fell to the third, I probably would have touched him. Never did, because obviously he had like one of the greatest running back seasons of all time last year. But history tells us that those running backs like never repeat. They never repeat the following year. They might repeat a couple years later, but the following year they just never do. And Saquon, like he was doing it purely off of like these big, long runs. It's just not sustainable. The offensive line in Philly has gotten a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive coordinator change signaled a lot to me because I think Kellen Moore is like one of the better minds in the game right now. And, you see what he's doing over there with the New Orleans Saints. Everybody thought they would be the absolute worst team in the NFL. They're not the absolute worst team. They're definitely bottom 10, but like, I mean, they're giving every team a run for their money.
And Rattler's fantastic. I think
Rattler's playing great.
I think he's obviously Drake May right now, but leading the league, one of the leaders in the league for completion percentage. Like he's fantastic. If you just watch him too, so calm and it's just night and day from last year. He's doing fantastic in New Orleans.
He did throw 3 picks against your Bears.
Yeah, but that's the Bears because we're the best team in the league. So,
all right. Are there any other buys or sells that you have in your mind?
If you can get George Kittle, people are panicking. 0 points. That's not every week. He's a tight end. He has more to do than just receiving. So, if you can get your hands on one of the best tight ends if not the best tight end in the league, go do it now. He's at his lowest value ever. That's it for me. I know James Cook has been a little wishy-washy lately. Fantasy managers might be panicking on him. Go buy him. He's the best piece in that Buffalo offense, and they're garbage right now, to say the least. Offensively, just have not been clicking. So, if you can get the best piece in that offense, do it now because he's going to get a ton of work. They need to win games, so they need to use their best players. They can't just dump it off to Khalil Shakir every time, Jordan Palmer. So
yeah. No, James Cook, I definitely I'm buying the bounce back. Who was the guy you said just before him? Gosh,
George Kittle.
George Kittle. Yeah, easy buy. Easy buy. That's his only game in his whole career where he didn't record a catch. I'm buying. My last one would be Justin Jefferson. I didn't have him on this list, but one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best. Obviously, it's been kind of a tough going for him, but peripheral wise, looking at his numbers, everything still shows that he's good. And if JJ comes back in and JJ's, starts to improve some more, we could really see Justin Jefferson, pick it up by year end. But I just think people are low on him, especially guys who have drafted him, top 7, top 8 in fantasy drafts. Like, they're going to be frustrated with them. So, see what you can get. But for that, I think that's everything we've got for tonight. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video, leave a comment, let us know how your teams are doing. Come and brag, come and cry if you need to. Like me, I'm 1-5 in a couple leagues, which is just abysmal. I shouldn't be doing a fantasy show if I'm a terrible fantasy player, but it happens. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're active on all those. And then if you didn't get to listen to this whole stream, make sure you listen to it on podcast and your way into work, your way home from work, or whenever you've got time at the gym, whatever you're doing. But with that, guys, we will see you next week. Good luck with all your fantasy teams this week. We wish you all the best of luck, and we will see you later.
Ladies, we did the research for you. Fellas, pay attention. We've partnered up with Bonheure Jewelry. Bonheure is a celebrity favorite, eco-friendly jewelry company based in New York City. They're adored by stars such as Emma Watson, Gal Gadot, Katy Perry, Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner, and Hailey Bieber. Their designs have been featured in top publications including Vogue, Elle, V Magazine, and on major platforms. We love them. They have great pricing for luxury jewelry. It's something that you can start planning for before the holidays get here and get it early. Click on the link in our show notes below. You can sign up for 15% off your first order. When you support our partners, you support FanFeed Network. Check them out.